The Iowa Hawkeyes looking to get that offense going. And boy, if they can't do it against Nevada this weekend, we're going to be in for a long season ahead. We'll get to the preview for Iowa Nevada in a moment. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, Iowa Floor Covering, their Tough Core Click Together 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring available right now with self-installation at $269 per square foot. Great value and great customer service from the guys down at Iowa Floor Covering in Bondurant, locally owned and operated. Visit iowafloorcovering.com/DIY to learn more about this Tough Core Click Together flooring or any other type of flooring that you may have a need for. Again, from iowafloorcovering.com. Visit iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. And also want to thank our sponsor, Ascent Nutrition, and their unbelievable coffee that keeps you alert and ready for your day, gets you alert and ready for your day each and every morning. It's pure, it's mold and mycotoxin free. Visit goascentnutrition.com. Use the code Hawkeyes for 15% off your total order. So Iowa, Nevada this week, the Hawkeyes coming off a Cyhawk loss to the Iowa State Cyclones, their first loss in that series since 2014. And we know the storylines. Kirk Ferentz doubling down again on Spencer Petras, electing not to throw Alex Padilla into the mix, at least not right now, electing not to go with the young body and Joey Labus. Spencer Petras continuing to struggle to make even the routine throws. No, he hasn't had the time or protection that you would prefer. But out of a senior quarterback, you expect much more than the numbers that we've looked at. We talked about it on week 203 of Brad's Branded Thoughts earlier in the week on this very channel. The QB room through 2 games, which has featured exclusively Spencer Petras, 45% completion, just about 201 through the air, two picks, no interceptions, 2 picks, no touchdowns, and a 70 passer rating, which is just abysmal. Now, Iowa's going to have an opportunity to get that offense going this Saturday. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be a sign of things to come. But if you're going to get the offense going, you're probably going to get it going against the worst opponent left on the schedule at home under the lights in Kinnick. So not shocked that Kirk Ferentz is doubling down because of the fact that, Spencer Petras has an opportunity to shine, albeit against a poor opponent. If he goes out there and just stinks it up on Saturday, boy, I don't know how. And I've said this before, but I don't know how, if you're Kirk Ferentz, you don't make a change at that point. I just don't get it. I don't understand how you go into the Rutgers, Michigan games without making a change. Now, I expect Spencer to play better. I just don't think this Nevada Wolfpack defense is very good. We talked with Duke Rittenhouse, who's been covering Nevada football for years. We had a conversation with him over at Iowa football at the Voice of College Football with the Voice of College Football himself, Mark Rogers. That conversation we had on Tuesday. Certainly you can look that up on YouTube. But Duke talked about the loss to Incarnate Word, an FCS opponent, albeit a good FCS opponent. That's where Cameron Ward came from, and he just beat him and the Washington State Cougars just beat Wisconsin the other night. But nonetheless, that's a good Incarnate Word team, and Nevada gave up 55 to that FCS team. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Iowa was going to be able to score 55 against Nevada. In fact, I would venture to say they will not. Nevada offensively is mediocre, and defensively they're mediocre. If you look at their total offense, total defense, they're right hovering in the 100 range. Of course, Iowa is completely abysmal on offense at 131, but Iowa is going to dominate defensively. I think it's going to be hard for Nevada to run the football. Toa Taua, very talented back, had over 100 yards against Incarnate Word. And by the way, the Wolfpack did score, I think, 41 against Incarnate Word this past Saturday. So it's not like offense struggled. They have a quarterback who took over for Shane Illingworth, who's a Oklahoma State transfer. This kid who took over for Illingworth is a 6'9" quarterback. All right, this guy is huge, and he did throw for over 300 yards on Saturday. Nate Cox is the kid's name, and so that's a different dynamic. You don't often see guys in the Mountain West who stand 6'9". I don't know the last time Iowa's played a 6'9" quarterback. Rarely do you see a 6'9" quarterback at any level. So that's a challenge in and of itself. It might be harder for Iowa. They have the kind of reputation of being able to bat balls down, get some deflections. They had at least 1 or 2 this past weekend. Seth Benson was a guy who had a deflection and ended up falling in the hands of Xavier Hutchinson for Iowa State, unfortunately for the Hawks. But the point is, he is a weapon. Again, over 300 yards. Taua had over 100 yards on the ground this past Saturday. He's got about 250 for the season so far. But overall, this is an offensive line and a defensive line that Iowa should be able to dominate. Iowa should really take care of the trenches. If they can't run the ball against Nevada, folks, that is a bad omen for the rest of the season. I'm just telling you that right now. Iowa better be able to score points against Nevada. The line, I think, has moved to like 23 last I checked. So even Vegas expecting Iowa to be able to score points. Right now, I think the over-under is like somewhere in the range of 40, which would tell me that Iowa's going to win something like, I don't know, 30 to 10, somewhere in that range. But again, Iowa hasn't proven it can run the ball against anyone. I do expect Iowa to dominate defensively. The issue is, and this is going to be the issue every game this season, I expect Iowa's defense to keep them in almost every game on the schedule. That's what's incredible. Iowa could lose. Like Iowa could, go 6-6 or 5-7. I'm not predicting that, but they could. And yet they may be in every game, kind of like Nebraska last year. The difference with Nebraska and Iowa, 2021 Nebraska, 2022 Iowa could very well be just the two units. Nebraska, obviously defensively, they struggled this year, and we've seen Scott Frost moved out of his position. But the point is, last year, I think it was all coaching. They just couldn't finish the deal. It wasn't necessarily always one side of the ball. It was just something crazy happening, special teams gaffes, blowing big leads. With Iowa, I just don't know in some of these games how they're going to generate enough offense. We may have a 10-10 ball game between Michigan and Iowa heading into the fourth quarter, but man, where are you going to get the rest of those points? It puts so much pressure on that defense. We saw them overcome it against South Dakota State, but that's an FCS opponent. We saw Iowa almost overcome it against Iowa State, but we're not able to, and that's an average Iowa State team. Nevada is not as good as Iowa State on either side of the ball. Iowa should win this game, but they still have to prove that they can score points even against Nevada, a lower tier FBS team. Honestly, if South Dakota State played Nevada today, I might take the Jackrabbits. But again, Nevada has proven they can score the ball with 41 put up last week and Cox throwing for over 300 yards. So I wouldn't be shocked to see this game close heading into the fourth. Not predicting that. I'll save my prediction for my pick'em segment here coming out tomorrow on Thursday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the 14th. But overall, Iowa got to be able to establish the run. Nico Reganey returns, which should be a nice outlet for Spencer Petras. Doubt we see Keegan Johnson. We're not going to see Deontay Vines. I think we pretty much know that. Gavin Williams should get back in the mix this week as well. We'll see what Iowa does at kicker. Aaron Blom has been less than stellar, although he's been put in some difficult situations. We'll see if Drew Stevens gets a shot this weekend from a field goal standpoint. We haven't seen him there. We've been doing kickoffs, but nothing with field goals. So in general, Iowa should win this game. I'll give you my prediction tomorrow. But boy, this is a game where you just hope that you see strides made on offense, because I doubt Spencer Petras is pulled from this game unless Iowa's losing and it's just because of Spencer. If they're losing at halftime, boy, I would hope you'd make that change at that point. But if Iowa's winning 20-10 heading into the fourth, or 20-10 at halftime, even 10-3 at halftime, Kirk probably sticks with Spencer, whether you like it or not, and then perhaps reevaluates things heading into Big Ten conference season against Rutgers. Not saying I agree with that, but that would be my prediction as to what he will do philosophy-wise. Appreciate you tuning in for a short preview of Iowa, Nevada, which is coming up Saturday inside Kinnick Stadium. I'll be there, so if you see me around the stadium or inside the stadium, come up and say hi. Would love to talk to you here and meet all of you listeners who have been loyal to this show and continue to watch on a daily basis. So appreciate you tuning in for another edition of the show. Live Hawkeye Hangout this evening at 9 p.m. We've got Iowa postgame following the game on Saturday, and then a special show with Coach Don Patterson, who will join us Sunday at 7 p.m. So all that and more coming up right here. Subscribe, like, share the video out, please, and also click that bell for notifications. Great content on the way right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm.